This episode is brought to you by the travel agency. Now boarding, taking off by flower, edible, or pre-roll. The travel agency. A cannabis store.
Through hallways and alleys, dark days I carry, sharp pains and bellies. All days be heavy when you're programmed to survive. Legendary ciphers get the MCs energized. The city never sleeps, slept from 1 to 5. When COVID hit the block and we had to stay inside. Tough love is all I know, so be gentle with my soul. Learn to navigate winters with no coat. If you never been cold, you never been broke. Hustle 24/7 just to stay afloat. So New York, like dollar pizza in the cold. What shit? That real life grit from the heart of the city is as hard as it gets. This that New York shit. That real life grit from the heart of the city is as hard as it gets. This that New
Welcome to Cannabis in the City. Welcome to Cannabis in the City. We're your hosts. I'm Professor Terrence Coffey.
And I'm Jamil Myrie. We are in the Boogie Down, Bronx BX, bringing it to you live, Cannabis in the City.
We'd like to know that this broadcast is all about keeping you informed and on the latest news, trends, and transformative work happening right here in New York City.
NYC.
NYC.
Well, each episode, we'll be bringing you powerful conversations with thought leaders, advocates, and innovators who are shaping the future of cannabis right here in our communities.
Absolutely. And one of the things that we like to let you know that this work will be focusing on policy and equity to entrepreneurship and education. We'll be diving deep into everything cannabis
How
in
deep?
the city.
Real
In the
deep.
city. Deep.
Oh,
Gotta go
okay.
deep.
All right. Pause. And today, we've got two amazing guests that will be joining us. We have Tosi Ajayi, Senior Policy Analyst with Cannabis NYC, and Kaz Marte, the man, the myth, the legend.
who led the way
you know
for
what
so
I'm
many.
saying? All of these things. Advocate and founder of Con Body, Con Bud, Con everything. You know what I mean? I think he's got a license on that, a
He got
copyright, a
everything
trademark, or
license.
something on the Con.
Everything.
Insert here.
He got
Yeah.
it.
All right.
I know you got that
Bet.
one covered. So listen, we want you to sit back, relax, and be ready to be inspired about this work, the engagement, and everything that's going to be happening here. And you notice I keep looking down.
Why?
Because you told me you're not a sneakerhead, but every time you come on one of these shows, we're out, you got on some fresh new pair of kicks. So tell, what's going on, bro?
I mean, I'm not a sneakerhead, but I do like to mix it up a little bit here and there. But I'm not a sneakerhead, and this show is not about sneakers. So get off my kicks.
So one of the things we also like, when we're going to be talking today, and I know that we have Tosi here, we have Kaz here, and I know that your work in this space has kind of been shaped by some of your own experience in corporate America and coming here now, sharing that knowledge with the broader community. So when you hear these conversations as a person who worked in Acreage in one of these big firms, how does this play out for you?
It's something that hits home in a very, very deep way. I am extremely, impassioned about the work, and it's just so very privileged to share this platform with you, one of the leading, voices in social justice, in criminal justice reform. Truly a professor of this work and this subject matter. So
I got that from the School of the Hard Knocks.
oh, from Hard Knocks.
The School
Okay.
of the Hard Knocks. And also today, we're going to have our team, Jeffrey Hoffman, Sean Hoffman, from our CJI Justice Lab that's going to be banging it out, keeping everyone informed on laws of expungement 440, everything that's happening in this space. And I know that one of the commitments that we made initially in founding all this work was to ensure that those communities that were most harmed by anti-cannabis enforcement would have an opportunity to be in this space. And I actually benefit from the very programs that it was designed to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we are so very, very, very blessed to have this platform and are beyond excited about all of the things that will be coming down the pike, in our future episodes. we definitely will be, hitting justice in the city. And, with Sean Farrow and Jeffrey Hoffman, who are here in studio. And you guys are going to be in for a real treat on that aspect.
Real treat. So with that, we want to try to pivot at some point. I told the our executive producer today, I put on my camouflage just for her. She always got something on camouflage, so I thought I was going to surprise her with my camouflage look today. But she wasn't impressed. She just really wasn't impressed.
Well, so we're going to ask you to sit back, relax, enjoy, get the popcorn, get your wine, your Cavassier, your whatever you drink, with that. And we will be returning right back to you shortly as we spark change together.
Stay tuned.
I surrender.
All right, pal. Get ready for the day, buddy.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
Welcome, welcome to Let's Talk Cannabis. I'm Jamil Myrie, and this is where we cut through the noise to put proper answers to real talk from the community about cannabis in the city. Now, there's a lot being said out there, opinions, headlines, social media, misinformation. Now, some of it is truth, some of it is hype, and I believe a lot of it lives somewhere in between. And that's what we're here to do, is to unpack all of that by bringing your voice into the conversation, unfiltered and rooted in reality. Cannabis isn't just an industry, it's a movement that is reshaping culture, policy, and people, reimagining what restorative justice and opportunity can actually look like in New York. And that conversation, it must include all of us, all of you. So every episode, we bring the community's voices front and center, from entrepreneurs to policymakers, to patients and parents, to everyday New Yorkers, and get that real talk in these streets. Because we can't build an equitable future if we're not actually engaging with, hearing from, and listening to you, the people, living it. We the people, right? So before we dive in with today's guests, we're gonna go straight to the streets with what you heard and get that real from the community. Let's get it.
New York legalized cannabis, but depending on who you ask, it's either progress, chaos, or a little bit of both. So today, we in them streets, here, Harlem, USA, bringing that policy talk to the people, asking New Yorkers what they heard about cannabis legalization in New York. This is What You Heard. Let's go. What you heard about cannabis legalization in New York?
I've heard that there's a certain amount of licenses that are given at per year, or I'm not sure if it's for every 6 months. So I heard that that's what's it's been rationed out, sort of. I don't know what the entitlement, what the credentials or what's the requirement to obtain a license. I don't know. I have no idea. I've heard about there's a lot of illegal that's been shut down. Licensed shops have been shut down. Some in the Bronx. I'm not aware of any here in Manhattan. And that's all I know. There's nothing else that I'm aware of.
If there's one thing that you could change right now about cannabis policy, education, lower taxes, more education for the community, for the public, more licenses, better access to real estate, whatever. On the top
Wow,
of your head.
kind of like all of the above. I
Right?
see. Oh, wow, that's. Oh my goodness. Education. I think that we've known about cannabis for quite some time, I don't know, but it was such a taboo
Yeah.
that people are still leery. We have somewhat understood it a bit,
Yeah.
but I think we need more education. And it's for real estate. That's been crazy. That's the tough one too.
Yeah.
Like all of, like I would say all of it.
When it comes to these unlicensed illegal weed shops that are popping up, they're popped all over the place. What you heard about that? How you feel about that?
Some of them is all over the place. I guess that's what they that's what they want, but it's like, they also shutting them down too.
Uh-huh.
Because some people going in, minors is going there, teenagers going in there, whatever, underage.
No regulation.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So they going in there and then they're shutting them down because they doing one thing wrong or whatever the case.
Right.
They making mistakes of selling it to minors or
Right. Right.
like that.
Yeah. You heard about these unlicensed, illegal weed shops?
So the unlicensed legal weed shops, I honestly don't know too much about it, but the little bit that I've heard is that they're selling a lot of lace products, and unfortunately people are getting sick from it, even dying from lace products. I know a friend of mine who actually passed away from being laced. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that's the first in terms of folks that we've actually been able to speak with today.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm really, my heart goes out to our family.
Thank
you
you.
as well. One other question, if you don't mind me asking, if you had the ability to change anything with regard to cannabis policy in New York City right now, what would it be?
The honest truth is, I wouldn't have it legal. I would not.
You want to elaborate a little bit, just a little bit?
How are people benefiting from weed in general? It's still a drug to me. People are saying it's not a drug anymore just because it's legalized now. And I don't see the benefits of it. Okay, you smoke, you get high, but what else do you do after that?
Wow.
Are you being productive, as I said, like going to school and work and doing things that'll help the community?
Yeah.
Or are you just sitting around smoking weed all day?
Yeah. Do you think that it would be beneficial for like a stronger, community public education in terms of like the benefits of cannabis? And, because I know for a fact that, there are some medicinal benefits to it.
Medicinal benefits.
Yes,
as well.
medicinal, absolutely, 1,000%. And it really depends on the strain, the cultivar, in essence, the different types, because you have your indicas that are more body sedation, that'll just like lock you out in the couch. But then you have your like energy ones that are like you're up and you're focused and you're on, and people do use that. In terms of just being able to get through their day.
So I'm speaking from just the point of view of what I've seen in my community and my friends.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them smoking weed to be productive and get energy and do something.
I see.
It's just like to kind of smoke and chill out, chill around, and relax.
Yeah.
So as far as medicinal purposes, maybe that's okay. I don't know too much about the medicinal purposes, but for the use that I've seen it being used for, I don't agree with it.
I hear you. So, what you heard about cannabis legalization in the city?
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. I haven't really heard much. Like, you probably will be teaching me about it, but always, cannabis always been closely associated to, my community, my neighborhood.
Yeah.
But, yeah, continue, man. I want to learn about it.
I'm not against cannabis at all. However, I do feel, especially within our community, it's being laced with something because the characteristics are not normal of smoking weed. More people are a little more, how can I say it? Not just laid back, but you could see something within their spirit is very downtrodden. And I even remember before it was legal, we used to smoke weed. You had a high, but people were focused. And you was able to think and do stuff. And that's when it was illegal. Now that it's been legal, it's been saturated with so many things. People want to zhuzh it up with extra stuff. And I say specifically here in our community, there needs to be a regularization, and we need to know what is in it, because something with this generation is very off. with them smoking Zaza.
Gotcha.
And all this other stuff, and fruit cake and strawberry this. I'm like, those sound nice, but you're off yourself. Now I have a friend. She does edibles, but she's a cancer survivor.
Yeah.
So when I do her edibles and her stuff, she breaks down what's the benefits of it.
Gotcha.
So when I was going through my depression, it worked through my depression, sexual health as well.
Yeah.
Because she knew all the benefits of how does it work.
Right.
So it did something to me that made me want to do stuff that was productive.
So let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
What have you heard about the illegal shops, the smoke shops in and around the neighborhood popping up all over?
I know that.
And like, how do you feel about it?
The reason why I don't like it is because it's not a sense of community. When I say this is, they do sell to the kids. You know, behind the parents' back and the community's back.
Right.
They look at it's the new liquor store, right? And when you go in there, they're looking at you what you want. There's nothing of a community as in how you doing, which one benefits you this way. You know, there's a way of how you could sell it to actually let me know how does it benefit me, and I could tell when you're lying to me, so you could just make a profit, right? So I'm not against cannabis.
Right.
I'm not a fan of the smoke shops. We have too many. It's the new liquor store now, and we need something more productive.
Well, what have you heard about the educational side of cannabis? Because it sounds like, you know, in terms of the benefits, because there are plenty of medicinal benefits, there are plenty of health benefits, wellness benefits, sexual health benefits. You know, what have you heard about any of that in terms of this? You know, is it happening? Is it not happening?
Well, it depends on the individual. Who are you around? Like I said, my friend, she's a cancer survivor. So I learned more from her because she's actually a chemist when it comes to it, when she makes her products. And what I'm going through, and I told her, she said, listen, this is good for this and this and that, right? If you're another type of person that just want to get high, and another set of people, I say the low vibrational type, you're just looking for a high. So it really depends on the individual themselves.
When people come through and they kicking doors looking for licensing, you gotta understand what the optics look like. Imagine me and you in the store trying to buy something, and it's like a raid going on, but their paperwork is straight. You're still gonna be a little bit like, dang, this spot is like compromise or what they investigating them for. You got your spots that don't got the licenses. You could get caught in there. We in there buying something, and they could run in there, and we might get snatched up and roped up with them. You don't get caught in that. And you know, people tend to hold you by the standard of what you look like, so they might associate you with the dealer, with the people. It's a slippery slope, but you know.
And then I mean, even on that side too, in terms of like the safety of the products, right? You know, being laced with God knows what, because it's not tested. So you know, people are coming into these unlicensed shops and they're like, they don't know what they're buying ultimately.
Have you been into Gotham Buds right there?
Oh yeah, but
you need to do something with them. Yeah, over there.
Over there. I was like, it's over there.
You should do something. Yeah,
absolutely.
Beautiful in there.
Yeah.
Like, they got the real dispensary vibe. Like, I feel like that's our own dispensary closest to like the urban side of things. Like, remember they got the cookie joint downtown. That's like kind of, you know, out of the way. People don't like to navigate too far. That's the most remote looking dispensary over there.
And that's in our neighborhood, right? It's here in Harlem. So absolutely,
What made you want to like be that voice and that beacon? Because it takes a lot of courage to get the word out. Because maybe through your platform, you might actually get the message out. What made you want to do that and pursue that?
You know. So we're gonna take all this real talk straight to the experts in Let's Talk Cannabis. I'm your host, Jamil Myrie. This was What You Heard.
From social equity to small business opportunity and statewide crackdowns on illegal shops, New York's cannabis legalization has been one of the most ambitious and controversial rollouts in the nation. So where do we actually stand today? And what's next for the state's growing cannabis market? Joining me now in studio is Tosi Ajayi, Senior Policy Research Analyst at Cannabis NYC, a division of NYC Small Business Services, and she has been studying the data and policies behind New York's legalization journey. Tosi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be part of this platform. As you know, I have been serving at Cannabis NYC for 2+ years, and I'm excited to dispel some myths and really bring some truth and clarity to what people are hearing on the streets. So let's jump into it.
Fantastic. Well, we had the opportunity to watch some of that, all of the footage that I, had the pleasure of doing out in Harlem. So I think let's start big picture. 3 years after legalization, how would you describe where New York's cannabis rollout stands today?
That's a really good question. I would say today the state of cannabis legalization in New York is we're still in early stages, but an active growth stage. So we're currently just surpassed 1 billion in total retail sales for 2025. We're on track to actually reach, I believe, the $3 billion mark by the end of the year. As an industry as a whole, we've already surpassed the $2 billion mark, and we're seeing more legal stores come online. So this is a reflection of consumer demand as well as more stores coming online. There's currently over 210 legal shops within New York City and about 500 across the state.
Wow.
So, legalization is still in its early stages. We're only 3 years in, but there's a lot of active growth happening right now. That's how I would categorize it.
Fantastic. So it would be fair to say that we're still in a build-up, build-out phase, and, folks could understand, that it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to build Rome, to build Nairobi, and, folks are just have to kind of buckle in and just watch the growth happen as we continue to progress.
Absolutely. There's been about 1,900 licenses issued across the state. Currently, I guess 5 most popular license types applications are currently not open, but there are still few opportunities to get into licensing right now, whether it be through cannabinoid hemp licenses. There's also brand processor licenses available that allow folks to enter into white labeling agreements with licensed processors across the state. So while again, we're 3 years post-legalization, there still are opportunities to get in currently, and we're seeing that the industry is continuing to grow. Of course, not without its challenges, but
Absolutely.
That's why we're here, we're committed.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I want to jump over into social equity. We have, as one of the cornerstones of legalization, social equity, which is really giving the justice-involved communities and individuals, the opportunity to access this, this market, this industry that, for all intents and purposes has existed for decades, in the shadows, the legacy market and all of that. But they were the ones that were most harmed by anti-cannabis prohibition. Those communities, my community, I come from these communities and represent them. So, how in fact has, social equity, the promise of social equity, how has the state, been with regard to delivering on that promise thus far?
Well, I'll start off by saying when New York legalized cannabis with the MRTA, New York is the first state to center social and economic equity at every stage of legalization. It was built into the law that at least 50% of licenses had to be issued to those who qualify as social and economic equity. That means you're from a community disproportionately impacted. That means you're a minority-owned business, you're a distressed farmer, you are a service-disabled veteran, you're a woman. With these qualifications, you can have access to reduced licensing fees. And again, the law put in place put a benchmark of awarding at least 50% of licenses to these groups. To date, the state is surpassing that goal. There's, I would say, close to 60% of all the licenses issued actually can be categorized as social and economic equity. At Cannabis NYC, we take pride in working, we're an interagency hub. We work across, public health, youth education and prevention, enforcement, all to ensure that we're building a sustainable, equitable, and thriving cannabis industry. We have programs like our Cannabis NYC Loan Fund, or our newly developing on-the-job training grant, which is put in place to help equity-centered businesses have access, again, to financing, access to skilled workers, things that actually ensure the sustainability of the framework that was put in place to ensure that people like me who come from neighborhoods, growing up as a first-generation Nigerian American, I've spent years in East New York, Canarsie, Brownsville, then spent some years in Central Jersey. I really firsthand got to see the disparities that come with underinvestment and over-policing. I know exactly what it looks like. And, this isn't just about cannabis. This is about justice, jobs, generational growth, generational change, us not, people who come from these communities really having access to this multi-billion-dollar industry. And, the law, the MRTA centers that from the first page. So I think the state of cannabis, we're surpassing that 50% goal, but until we truly see generational change, I don't think we can say we've reached the impact, the intent of what the law was.
Wow, you're absolutely right. And we have quite a ways to go with that work, as far as just delivering on the promise of social equity. There are, I have, 2-3 other questions that I would love to ask you just based on, the work that we did out there. But, I would just leave it at, I really am so grateful that you came in and joined us to have this conversation and really speak to some of the concerns that the community, has definitely been voicing for some time. And, I'm just so appreciative of what you are doing, over at Cannabis NYC here in New York City. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Jamil, and please tap in to what we're doing. We're doing a lot more. You can find it all out at nyc.gov/cannabis. We have initiatives that focus on, helping to secure compliant real estate. The state and the city are working to ensure, enforcement measures are propelled because it really undercuts the value and the blood, sweat, and tears that the licensed operators have put in to become operational. And just please tap in. You can also find me on my personal social media account at Miss Toast, ms.tos. So please tap in. Thanks so much.
Indeed. And thank you again, Tosi, for joining us. We'll be right back after these few messages. Thank you.
Welcome to Justice and Cannabis. I'm Sean Farrell, and alongside me is my co-legal director of the CJEI Justice Lab, Jeffrey Hoffman. Today we're going to start at the very beginning with a groundbreaking law that changed the game in New York City. We're talking about the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, or as a lot of folks call it, MARTA. MARTA wasn't just a legal bill. It was designed as a blueprint to repair harm. And it has two core purposes: justice, and as I said, repair harm, but also equity. The justice aspect, it hasn't been clear, and the rollout has been incredibly slow. In fact, it's supposed to have automatic expungements, but unfortunately, so many people don't know about that part. What's even more is that for a lot of the crimes, there is no automatic expungement. You have to file a motion in court, and most people don't even know that part. So there's a lot of things that we need to dispel today. And the equity part?
Well, Sean, for the equity part in the cannabis law here in New York, they managed to get that right. New York has probably implemented the most equitable law of any state that has legalized cannabis in the United States. The two key portions of the law is one requiring social and economic equity applicants get priority licensing.
Yep.
This includes minorities, disabled veterans, and a whole host of other folks that the law says should get priority in the licensing. Additionally, the law has specific monies set aside out of the tax revenue that gets generated from cannabis sales to go back into the community to help fix some of the harm that was done by anti-cannabis enforcement across the state of New York, and especially here in New York City. So really, when it comes to the equity part, New York is doing it unlike any other state.
So we got one aspect of it right, but that justice component, how are we doing on that front?
So that's a real good question, Sean. Unfortunately, the law did not require that individuals get notified that they are impacted by the change in the law. So if you had a misdemeanor and it got automatically expunged, nobody knows about it. So one of the things that we do at the Cannabis Justice and Equity Initiative is help people get that education, help them find the documents that prove that their cannabis conviction has been expunged. And then unfortunately for folks that have a felony conviction, they actually have to go to court and do something. And as you noted at the beginning here, most people don't even know that they have to do it, much less don't know how to do it if they even knew that they had to do it. So again, one of the things that we do at CJEI for no cost is help people identify if they have these issues on their records and then help them address that either by finding the proof that their conviction has been expunged or helping them file the necessary paperwork in court to get their conviction expunged.
So you've said something key that I love here that I just want to make sure the folks heard properly. That's free 99. We give out free legal services to our people, right? Anybody that's been justice impacted, especially by that war on drugs, that prohibition on cannabis, come talk to us because we're here to help you. We're here to clear your record and expunge it if we can. And for those cases that we can't expunge, let's talk about sealing certificates of relief or certificate of good contact. But there's ways that we can help you. But you also said another important part. You have to go get your disposition, essentially. You have to find out what's on your record. You have to go to the court in which your convictions were had.
That's correct.
And then for a lot of folks, if you need to file that motion, you probably need to talk to a lawyer, right? To one of us, because it's very complicated to try to get some of these courts, some of these judges, especially upstate judges, to sit there and overturn your conviction and expunge it. But what can we do now, right? We're gonna come full circle here. How do we sit there and help people beyond just, everybody wants a license. Everybody thinks they're gonna get a dispensary. How do we help people on the equity front there?
Sure, so the reality is there's only gonna be a few thousand to several thousand licenses across the entire state. However, there are going to be tens of thousands, maybe even over 100,000 jobs in the cannabis industry here in the state. And that is really a vector that we can use to bring opportunity to the communities that were disproportionately impacted by anti-cannabis enforcement. So one of the other things that CJEI offers is a 16-week training program, which is going to be discussed at later points on this show and on future shows, where we help train individuals about the cannabis industry here in New York and assist them in getting jobs. And in fact, CJEI has had 2 cohorts graduate already, and a majority of those graduates are now employed in the cannabis industry here in the state.
And not to mention, on top of that, we've already successfully appealed and got expunged a couple of folks' records. So what we do here is simply we clear your records or help you to clear your records. We put you through the free training course, and we help you break into this industry. So if you ever need help, check us out at thecjei.org. I'm Sean Farrell, and this is Jeff Hoffman.
And we look forward to working with you from CJEI's Justice Lab. Thank you.
1 in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping. Got a few minutes? You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
My name is Klaus Martin. I grew up in an over-policed neighborhood where I was stopped over 300 times for the smell of marijuana. I did my prison time for running an illegal delivery service, but I came home with a mission to hire formerly incarcerated individuals to work with us. Let me introduce you to Combo, the best cannabis dispensary in New York. I'm Still Your Dealer. So order online or just come into the store and schedule your pickup. Combud, New York's favorite dispensary.
Welcome, everyone, and this is Professor Coffee, and we are the Corner Boys on the Corner Boys. Listen, I am super excited to have an individual who has not only been an advocate, who's not only when we call the man, the myth, the legend, everything that you've heard is true. Cosmarte.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate you, Dr. Man.
Man, thank you, thank you. I was looking at the introduction and, you know, everything that you were saying, we were laughing with the studio audience with this idea of I'm Still Your Dealer, and I was all, and everyone knows I'm a big Jay-Z fan when they say, but we legal, man.
Yeah.
And I just to couch that, you were released. You created Conbody. You transitioned into Conbud. You have become one of the most vocal individuals on behalf of individuals who have been impacted by the criminal legal system. What has that journey been like for you from there to here?
The journey feels like it's still the beginning, you know? I feel like I'm still, you know, showing up every day, still hustling. I see a lot of differences from me being released in 2013 than someone being released in 2025, right? Like, after the law was amended that parolee and probationees could work in dispensaries, right? Now that's unfathomable, right? Like unthought of for somebody to be on parole. Like I got parolees working, right?
At the dispensary.
At the shop, you know, when their parole officers come and visit, they take a whole tour of the shop, right?
Wow.
Can't make this shit up, you know? And it's a blessing though to have like that transparency now, to even speak to those people, to have that opportunity, because nobody even cared about people coming out of the system. You know, like I came out multiple times and, you know, it was the same BS, you know.
Going back to the
BS.
same community, same conditions, still trying to grind. I was sharing, one of the things I was sharing with our attorneys, Jeff and Sean, there's an article that was written a few years ago that said if you want to be arrested for cannabis in New York City or New York State, be black or brown. In your work, how has your advocacy led to challenging some of those concepts and beliefs around discriminatory practices, particularly as it relates to individuals coming from spaces of incarceration into this new industry?
I think, you know, the police are definitely way more lax, you know, and I think there's also police that take advantage of that, you know, hey, this person is smoking in a standing vehicle. That's, you know, I got multiple people that have called me like scared for their life, like what's gonna happen, you know, and it's a disappearing ticket, right? They think they're gonna go back to jail because they have other history, you know? And so it's definitely like we're in a way better space, you know? And I think due to us bringing the approach of the normalism, right? You know, being able to consume around anywhere and use your medicine anywhere, right? And then also like just the police doing it in front of them and having that transparency, right? I remember when we opened up the Delancey store, like one of my trainers, he sat on top of the hood of the NYPD car and smoked a joint, and the officers were taking pictures of him, right? Like, you can't make that shit up. Sorry.
No, sorry. You know, this is Corner, so we ain't worried about that. One of the things I do want to ask, and I think that for a lot of viewers in our communities, particularly when we think about the MRTA, you receive your card license and you kind of, you know, move into this space. But what do you think about opportunities? And I think it was mentioned earlier that this industry in New York State will create between 60 and 70,000 jobs. And the idea that 95% of the people who were arrested for under cannabis prohibition and all that took place were individuals from the hood, bodega, in front of the bodega shops. You know, the boys who had their little dime bag of weeds, and we saw those practices within the community. How do you position yourself as an industry leader, as a dispensary owner, to provide a pathway for those individuals to be able to find employment, find support, find mentorship through you and through your story and through the work that you're doing.
I mean, it's hard, you know, but I try to refer people to anybody that I know, you know, like when people come into the store and they're like, are you hiring? No, but there's internship programs out there that are being paid that you could take advantage of, you know, go hit them up, you know. And so, or if we have some opportunity where we could, you know, employ that person, opportunity is there, right? But it's very difficult, right? Like, there's 650,000 people that are being released from the whole country's prisons. And guess how many people are being released in New York State, right? 188,000. 188,000 every year in New York State compared to 650,000 in the whole country.
Wow.
Right, and we talk about employing maybe 100,000 jobs.
Yeah.
You know, that's just one year's worth, a half a year's worth of inmates being released.
Yeah, and one
to run the cannabis industry.
Exactly, and part of the work that I did recently in 2016 when I was leading advocacy here in New York City as well as state is the ban the box legislation that made it illegal for employers to discriminate against individuals with criminal backgrounds coming from where we came from. And that was birthed out of my own lived experience after doing 19 years and then touching down and going into spaces. And they, you know, as much as this ideal of second chances, and we're a country of second chances, to come out and fill out an application, and you already know your application gonna come up missing as soon as you check that box. So I'm grateful for New York City and making those steps with that piece of legislation, but you still see, when we think about that population still coming home, outside of just the cannabis industry itself, and your advocacy supersedes a lot of that because you were more addressing a lot of the systemic practices of individuals coming home. What more do you think that we can do as a state in supporting individuals who are coming home, and particularly those who have been convicted by under drug charges like us?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that need to be fixed within the system. One thing primarily for me, I think transitional services in the system need to be enhanced and need to be funded a little bit more. Like, I don't know, you remember when we were doing transitional services, they used to give us a sheet of paper and a number 2 pencil, right? And you had to draw like your resume, right? You think you was gonna go outside, like in today's 2025 world, with a number 2 pencil written resume to get a job? Hell no.
Exactly.
Right? That's not gonna happen. Like, so why don't we start bringing computers now? Why don't we readapt these people the right way and educate them and not setting them up for failure? And I think cannabis is also another pathway, right? Like, why we have so many programs in the state that save people. I spoke to OCM about this, you know, a while back. Like, why don't we bring the program inside the system, right? Why don't we start teaching inside the system, and if they get the certificate, they get 6 months off their release, right? There's so many programs that already do that, you know. Why can't cannabis be one of them and have a real transitional service?
They got a couple of pieces of legislation that I'm going to be supporting in regards to that as well, is that for individuals who take these various programs, that time is knocked off, but not just the time, they're also getting a real training that preps them for that as they're being released. And for those who may not know, we also have a career development area that we help individuals tighten up their resumes, create resumes, led by Antonika James, who's one of my other partners from another agency who now works closely with us to ensure that support. I see my executive director. I already told her if they try to put us on the corner, we're going to start this and then we got to start talking about the wall and touching down, and now she's going to be trying to tell us how we got to cut it off and then all of that. But anyway, Cause, I want to thank you for coming on. You know, as always, this is going to be an open door. I know you're a busy man to come back. I want to continue this conversation with you in the future as we continue to talk about this work, we talk about this industry, and we talk about those individuals and communities that have been most harmed, and how do we continue to create change. My name is Professor Coffee, Cosmarte. This Kona Boys. Check us on the next time where we're going to be touching down, talking a little bit more about this work here on the Kona with we Kona Boys. Kona Boys, the boys with the new offices, and you know what Jay-Z said. Thank you for joining us.
I debate all day. It's what I do. But there are some things that are undebatable, like your mental health, my own mental health. I was in a dark place when my brother passed away in a car accident. I've never been more devastated than the day I lost my mom. I was depressed, miserable, in ways I never imagined. I reached out, and my sisters came, my pastor, my therapist. They helped me get through it. I found that the more I spoke up, the healthier my mind became. The chaos that was in me began to subside. I was more focused, clear. When you love your mind, you can go so much further. That's not up for debate. Find mental health resources at loveyourmindtoday.org.
News updates.
Welcome back to Cannabis in the City, the show where we keep you informed on the latest news, trends, and developments shaping New York's cannabis landscape, my brother. And this is your community news. You know, I have to share with you that last week I had that opportunity to attend the Community Reinvestment Fund grant press conference where the state of New York officially dispersed over $5 million through the Community Reinvestment Fund, and this was truly a major step forward in reinvesting tax cannabis revenue directly back into communities most harmed by America's so-called war on drugs.
5 M's.
Yeah, 5 M's. I saw that big check, and I was going to try to snatch it and run.
Wow.
Too many people was around.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they had eyes on you. All
right. Everywhere. And I have to say that, you know, at the event, I spoke with Matt Wilson, who's the director of the Community Reinvestment Fund, Joe Belloc, chair of the Cannabis Advisory Board. Tosi was there, who spoke earlier, you know, in that space, along with so many other industry leaders. And I think that it was, you know, I did a post on this called Promises Made, Promises Kept, because for a lot of individuals in the community that knew about, and I said for those that knew about the Community Reinvestment Fund, a lot of those were concerned that if this day was really going to happen, if agencies or organizations would really be funded through this. So to see that happen, as I always said, this was a step in the right direction. Many more, I think, to come with that.
Wow. That's some powerful stuff, T. I wish I could have attended, but I know you were there representing for.
Yeah, Jeff Hoffman was there with me, Felicia Reed, the acting director for the agency, Simone Washington, so many wonderful people. So it's just amazing to see that commitment really happening in real time for those.
So that's kind of like delivering, partially sort of like delivering on the promise of social equity.
Yeah. And I have to say that, and you know, again, for a lot of the members in our communities, that was, you know, it's like, you know, we hold our breath. When Kaz and I were talking earlier, it's almost like hearing these promises that are made about what's going to happen, you know, this is going to happen, then it never does. And to finally see that first step taken.
It's like same old.
Same old.
Okay.
Exactly. Right. So to see that happen and to see the impact that funding is going to have in communities that will most harm, the agencies that are involved, again, it's a step in the right direction. So I'm just super excited about that.
Well, you know, I think what we're really, truly bearing witness to is reparative, you know, true reparative policy in action, right? The money's flowing back into our neighborhoods, supporting workforce development, housing, and real community healing, you know?
Yeah, and that's the real idea of restorative justice, you know, and you know, and I think through our work at CJI, the idea of restorative is going back into those very communities, not in spaces that want harm, but in the communities where these community centers where people can see this really taking place the same way they saw the harm that was taking place. So that's true restorative justice in that.
And that's exactly what we want to see, right? And as the industry continues to grow, right, more tax, that money continues to grow. And, they're able to, in essence, disperse that, through this grant, vehicle so that more organizations are touched by, this very, thing that, on the flip side, caused so much harm for, over generations throughout our communities. And so this is truly sustainable and community-driven impact, as one could imagine, seeing it real life today.
Well, speaking of growth and opportunity, one of the things that we're committed here is to share all the information that's happening right here in our city. And there are several upcoming events that are helping to build the next generations of professionals and advocates here in New York City.
New York.
I think you got some, what you got going on October, Monday, October?
So first up, we're starting Monday, October 27th through November 24th. The Cannabis Workforce Initiative will be hosting a five-week in-person certificate course at Eastside House Settlement in the Boogie Down Bronx. Participants will earn a 15-hour certificate while learning everything from cultivation and compliance to entrepreneurship and job readiness.
Then also on October 29th, the Queens Community Justice Center will be hosting a CWI alumni informational
over the place.
session from 4:30 to 5:30. You'll hear directly from graduates who went through their program and who are now making moves in the industry as of today. So that's amazing as well.
I love that.
What else you got?
On November 6th, we really encourage you to make your way to New York Academy of Medicine for the Business of Cannabis New York Conference, a major B2B business-to-business networking event bringing together industry leaders, investors, and policymakers to discuss the future of New York's cannabis economy. So come on through. T, anything last thing?
You gotta get tickets on that, don't you?
I think you do, but we'll have that in the show notes.
All right, and finally on the November 17th, check out the Green Justice, Cannabis, and Criminal Reform at Planet Nug in Farmingdale. This event will help you explore. Strong Island, Long Island. This event will explore legalization and criminal justice reform that can truly work hand in hand to create fair access and second chances.
And so each of these events represents a huge, just a small piece of the larger puzzle, building an ecosystem where reinvestment, workforce training, and policy innovation all connect to advance and promote equity and justice.
And this is what progress looks like and should look like when there are resources, education, and opportunity to meet purpose and accountability.
Absolutely. So we want you to stay with us because after the break, we'll be talking with one of the voices shaping this movement and, a community leader working at the intersection of cannabis, re-entry, and workforce empowerment.
You're listening to Cannabis in the City, and this is your community news.
Todd's in the hospital.
From vaping. Honest, you won't vape, Emma?
Not cool.
Wacky sitcom teens aren't the best people to talk to your kid about vaping.
Hey, you got a minute?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Welcome back, and we just want to thank you so much. This is Cannabis in the City, and we got to give it up for everybody involved here. Our studio audience.
Special guest,
Tosi Ajayi from Cannabis NYC. Yes, from Con Bud, Con Body, Con Everything.
Everything. Right? Make sure you visit him at Con Bud on his site. You can go and find that, and definitely go there, purchase your product.
And just to really kind of ground it, CJEI, Cannabis Justice Equity Initiative, is a cannabis-based organization community-based organization that's really focused on two objectives: equity, which I think I represent, and justice, which is where you, I think, come in. And, you know, you've got a real opportunity, you know, here to see how the justice works. Our equity side is through just workforce development, education, community conversations, and really just being in these streets. So, you know, this is Cannabis, and this is our community.
We want to ask you to visit us at thecjei.org to learn more about our work. If you want to engage with our attorneys, Jeff Hoffman, Sean Farrell, Joseph DiMatteo, please go on our site to learn more about the work that we're doing. Also, we'd like to share that this will be a 6-part series that we'll be hosting over a period of time. We have some amazing guests on our next show.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fire.
That's gonna be fire. Well, today was fire.
And you know, this does not happen without you, and we need you really to support us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on all the social media handles. Check us out on all podcast platforms, and donate. Get in your pocket. Pull out a couple dollars and help us out, because there is no us without you. Really, truly, there is no us without you. And really, our purpose here is to bring your voice into the conversation and really bring forward a lot of the information, the education about this amazing industry that is now legal and booming. I think she said, Toshi said, we've already crossed the $2 billion mark.
I heard 3
right?
but I'm hearing things.
It was 2 billion.
I still got that $5 million check.
Oh, you got the $5 million check in your mouth. All right, cool.
And we look forward, we want to thank you so much for joining us this day. Actually, listen, tell a friend about this show. Tune into this show.
Tell a friend to tell a friend.
Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. It's like when we was on, I wish Cars would say, I tell him, Joe, Cars, remember when we got on the thing down the horn, everybody in the block, still block knew when it was going down. Pass the kite down the hallway, pass the kite. Official, listen, we want to thank you guys so much for being here with us again and again and again. And we look forward to bringing you back and have you back.
Cannabis is a movement, right? It's a movement. And so we're rewriting the story on justice and equity, one voice at a time. So listen up, y'all. Let's spark the conversation and let's keep it going, all right? Thank you so much. And we will continue to do this work.
In the
be here in the community, in these streets. I hope y'all really enjoyed what you heard, you know, because that was a tremendous amount of fun for me. I want to thank all of the, you know, lovely Harlemites who allowed us to, you know, take a little piece of their day to, like, you know, interface with them and ask them questions.
You got to shave? You got to,
yo, he did me up.
I was looking, I said, what this dude bald head like me, what is he gonna do?
He had a chair, he had a barber chair on the street.
That was hot though, that was hot to sit down and talk with him.
I had to flip it up a little bit. I hope y'all enjoyed that as well, right?
That was good.
Yeah, you can do it next time.
No, absolutely not.
Why?
I'm not sitting in no chair, let nobody put nothing on my bald head. And
Please.
Anyway.
Please.
Listen, we want to thank you so much again and again. I think that words can express this. Our gratitude for you, our executive producer, our studio audience, our colleagues, supporters, sponsors of the work that we do here. Again, a big thank you to Tosi and Cos. I didn't say the last name, just Tosi and Cos.
And again, our studio audience, thank you so much. And we'll see you again shortly hereafter. Peace, y'all.